I've had a lot of people asking me what's going on in the Utah real estate market right now. Are prices going up? Are they going down? Are they staying the same? What about mortgage rates? How is the inventory? What is days on market? Are there more homes selling or less homes selling? We're going to be covering all of that in this video here for you today. We're mostly going to be talking about the real estate sales market here in Utah. So we're talking Salt Lake City, Salt Lake County, and the surrounding counties. So this area here is known as the Wasatch Front. It covers everything from Ogden down to Provo. The reason why it's called the Wasatch Front is because it's in front of the Wasatch Mountains. So you might hear me call it the Wasatch Front. That kind of covers the whole metro area here in Utah. This is where 2 million people out of our 3 million population live. So it's the majority of the population for the state of Utah. We're going to be covering what's happening in these areas here. And like I said, we're going to be mostly talking about what's happening in the sales market, but we'll also touch briefly on the rental market. Before we jump into that, I do want to introduce myself. My name is Cody Steck. If this is your first time to the channel, welcome. If it's not, welcome back. I'm a realtor here in Salt Lake City, and I'm helping families and individuals much like yourself who are thinking about relocating here to Salt Lake City or any of the surrounding areas, and they want to know a little bit about what it's like to live here, what you can expect for housing, outdoor activities, and the general overall lifestyle that you can have when living here in Utah. So if that is you and you're thinking about making a move here, make sure to get in touch with me. Call me, text me, email me, get a hold of me any way that you need to. I absolutely love it when you guys reach out, and I'd love to have a chat with you about your type of home and lifestyle that you would be looking for in particular if you decide to make a move here to Salt Lake City or any of the other cities here locally. So call me. I love it when you guys reach out. I look forward to chatting with you. All right, enough with the intro, let's jump into it. I want to start with the rental market because we'll be able to cover that a little bit quicker. So really it just comes from my manual research on what's happening in the market, how I'm seeing prices fluctuate, how I've seen my own rental properties fluctuate, and what I'm seeing come onto the market that's available, and kind of how those prices are fluctuating based on the bedroom size and the city that those rentals are located in. So I want to break this up into 3 different sections for the rental market because it's not going to be the same across the board. You're going to have different things happening in different price ranges. The lower end of the market, I would consider to be anything under about $1,200 per month, is still moving very rapidly. This is generally an amount that most people can afford. It's kind of the entry point of where people get started with renting. Maybe it's just a 1-bedroom apartment, maybe it's even a 2-bedroom apartment, and they're just trying to get into it. So this is about as low as it goes, and so almost always this section of the market is going to be moving pretty quickly. I'm seeing a lot of that same stuff. There is turnover happening as, you know, unfortunately people are not able to make their rent, or maybe they are and they just need a new place to live, right? The old place isn't working, or they're moving out of their parents' house, or it could be something else entirely. So this portion of the market does move pretty rapidly, and that's still the case today. The middle range of the market is going to be what I would consider between about $1,200 per month up to about $2,500 per month here along the Wasatch Front. This is acting a little bit slower. Of course, there's less of a demographic here locally that can afford rent in this amount, so things do generally move a little bit slower, but there are always those families who need a place like this. Generally, these are going to be your 3, 4, or even 5-bedroom homes that will fit and accommodate in a family. So these places do move a little bit slower, but they still are moving. It's just taking a little bit longer for those places to actually be filled. As far as prices are concerned, as to where they were, 3 months ago, I'm seeing some of them come down. I'm seeing some stay right there at where the market level should be, and then I'm also seeing some that are priced too high that are, of course, sitting empty. Nobody wants to pay more for a place that they could rent for the cheaper price if they can find something else that's in the market rent for what they're looking for. So they are still moving. There's a little bit of price fluctuating going on in this range, but overall still pretty healthy. Now the last section is going to be the luxury section, which is going to be anything over the $2,500 per month range. This is going to be your higher end homes, higher end apartments, and of course any of your luxury homes. Now this section is getting hit a little bit harder in the rental market. I believe it's because there was a lot of properties, especially in the downtown area and along the east bench of the Wasatch Mountains. So this would include areas like Sugar House, Mill Creek, Olympus Cove, Cottonwood Heights, the east part of Sandy. All of these areas had a high concentration of Airbnb properties that unfortunately people are not staying in, and so these landlords have these properties that they need to cover the mortgage on, and so they've instantly converted them over to a long-term rental to get somebody in there so that they're not losing out on that mortgage every single month. Now, this has caused a flood into the market of all these properties coming available in this price range, and so there's more inventory than there actually is demand. I'm seeing more homes in this price range, and I'm seeing the ability to actually rent one of these places for cheaper than you normally would. So if you're in that price range, you could be able to pick up a pretty good deal on rent. Even if it's just for a short term, this could actually work out really well. One of my suggestions would be, if you're thinking about making a move here, maybe get in touch with some of those landlords that are in that price range. See if they're willing to do a 3-month lease or a 6-month lease and be flexible with you, because they may want to go back to an Airbnb once the lease term is up. So once this whole pandemic thing passes, they may want to go back to an Airbnb, and that could provide you the opportunity to do a short-term rental while you get used to living here in Salt Lake City before making that decision to actually purchase something and put down some roots. So this is kind of a win-win. It could be a win-win for everybody if it plays out correctly. Make sure to get in touch with me if you want more information on this. I'm happy to walk you through some of the details on that. So overall, when looking at the rental market, it's still really healthy. Utah's lucky enough to be in a position where things have kind of been moving a lot easier than they have in other major cities like Los Angeles or New York or Boston or Philadelphia. So things are moving still relatively quickly here. The rental market is being filled up. There are more units available, but there's still a demand overall for housing. And so it's actually working out in the favor of the tenants. They're getting slightly better options, and the landlords are able to still fill those rental units. So we've been fortunate enough to kind of weather this storm better than a lot of the country, and that's helping us out economically and helping to support our local businesses and local individuals and families. Now, before we jump into the actual sales data for the Utah market here, make sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so. Click that button down below and that bell to get notified when I release new videos just like this about what it's like to live here in Salt Lake City. You won't want to miss those videos, so make sure you click that bell to get notified when they are released. Also, give me a thumbs up here on this video if you're liking it so far. It helps me with the YouTube algorithm to reach more people like yourself who are curious about learning what it's like to live in Salt Lake City. All right, let's jump into the sales side. So first I want to explain where I'm getting this information and then why. I'm only going to be using homes on this list here that are in Salt Lake County because it's the most stable county in my opinion for sales across the board here along the Wasatch Front. So I want to be able to get you the most relevant information, especially because a lot of those other counties are going to be very similar. It's not like they're going to be vastly different or anything, but I do want to get a smaller subset of just Salt Lake County so we can really narrow in on the facts and see what's happening here locally. The other thing that I want to mention is that we're only pulling homes that are under the $1 million price tag. Anything over $1 million is kind of funny. You know, sometimes those properties sell really quick, sometimes they sell off market, sometimes they sell for vastly lower than they're actually listed at. And there's a lot of variation when you get up over that $1 million price tag. So I've excluded those from the report, especially because for a lot of people it's not going to apply. And also it can really skew the results here. So I wanted to keep it for everything under $1 million. Now, the luxury market, that is going to be a little bit different. Again, if you've got questions on that, get in touch with me. We do cover that, and I do want to be able to fill you in on the information that you need to know that is more specific to those sales happening above the $1 million mark. All right, enough about that. Let's jump in. So the first thing I want to look at is the absorption rate here in Salt Lake County. The absorption rate basically means how many months of inventory do we have left, which again is basically figuring out if no new homes were listed, how many months would we have until we have no homes left to sell. This is a good indicator of how many homes are coming onto the market, how quickly they're selling, and what the reactions are to those homes coming up. Are they selling quickly? Are they selling slowly? What's happening with those? So the absorption rate really hasn't changed actually. In Salt Lake County, there's roughly 1,000 to 1,200 sales every single month. And there's about 4,000 new properties coming onto the market or that are currently active. So this includes active properties as well as properties that are still under contract or in a backup or pending position. The reason why these are calculated in there is because they haven't actually sold yet. So given those numbers, with about 1,200 sales and about 4,000 new properties coming up, we do have about 3.5 months worth of inventory. And this is pretty standard. This is what we're normally seeing in this market, and it really hasn't changed all that much. The next report that I want to look at is the sales per month data. Again, we're only looking in Salt Lake County and only under the $1 million mark. So if we look at the information here for March of 2020 versus 2019, the sales numbers were almost the same. However, we are 22 days through April and the number of sales are way down from what we normally see. So far, we've only had 665 sales compared to last year when we had over 1,578 sales in just the month of April. If I take those 665 sales and divide it by the 22 days that we've had in April so far, that gives me a rough number of about 30 sales per day. If I times that 30 sales per day times 30 days in a month, that means we can only expect to have about 900 sales for the month of April. Now, I do expect that number to be a little bit higher, probably about 1,000, maybe up to 1,100, because a lot of times the contracts are written to actually close at the end of the month. So we do normally see a higher average number of closings per day towards the end of the month. So I do expect that to be about 1,000, maybe 1,100, but it's still gonna be way down from 1,576 from April of 2019. So what about prices? Are prices going up? Are they going down? What's happening with the prices? And realistically, so far we haven't really seen much change in the prices here along the Wasatch Front. There are some homes that are still seeing price drops, but that's pretty normal. You know, you're gonna see that in just about any market. A lot of times we'll list homes higher than we think we might get, because if you find that one perfect buyer who loves that home, you can get that higher price. So we are seeing some price drops, but overall, when you look at the numbers, the prices really haven't been affected so far. I do think that could change in the coming months. You know, unfortunately, a lot of people have lost their jobs, or they're going into mortgage forbearance, or, you know, just other issues that are happening with this whole outbreak. So I do see that there could be a potential drop in prices across the board in the coming months, you know, through the summer months. But as of right now, nothing's really been affected. You can see here that homes are still selling for about 99 to 100% of their original list price. Compared to last year, that's actually up a couple of percentage points. The other thing that you want to know is that days on the market is actually down. It's lower than we've normally seen. You can see the data here that the days on market is actually lower than it was in 2019. And this is because there's less inventory, right? There's less sales happening in the market, and that's because there's less inventory to choose from. So there's still a lot of buyers out there looking. You know, a lot of sellers are deciding not to sell quite yet because they want the stability of having a place to live, and they're not quite sure how to make this move during this whole world event that we're in. So inventory is down, which is causing days on market to become down because there's not as much inventory to actually choose from. So buyers are basically just pulling the trigger on the first home they see that actually fits. And, you know, people want to buy, people want to sell, everybody wants to kind of move on with their life and get back to that certainty that we're all generally used to. Now, the last thing that I want to talk about is my personal opinion about what I'm seeing in the market. I'm still seeing homes move very quickly. I'm not seeing prices be affected that much. And really, guys, what it comes down to is this. If you've got a great home in a great neighborhood and it's priced properly and the marketing is where it should be, you've got good photos, you've got 3D tours, you've got video of the property, whatever it needs to be, if all of those things line up, your home is going to sell quickly and there's going to be buyers for it. Guys, if you're thinking about making that move here, make sure to get in touch with me, because when those properties do come up, they go quickly. That's when you're gonna get the best deal. You wanna get a nice home, you wanna get into a good neighborhood, and you wanna get that home before anybody else. So those properties, the ones that you really, really want, are gonna be the first to go. Guys, I hope this was helpful for you. If it was, give me a thumbs up here on the video, subscribe to the channel, and click that bell so you don't miss any more videos that I release here on the channel, and I'll see you in the next one.